Hey guys, so I'm going to create this quick video, or not sure how quick, but this is basically psychology and how to handle the market. So this is my approach and my experience, so hopefully it helps you. So basically the most important thing is learning how to handle fear. And in order to do that, you basically need to add more certainty to your trading. And the way to do that is with repetition and practice, right? So you need to train your eyes to see things and watch them unfold. Document before and after and correcting your mistakes. So what that basically means is that you need to practice, practice, and practice through back testing and forward testing your strategy or your edge, so you become more confident in your strategy or edge. And then this way, in the real life market, you'll know exactly what to do because you know exactly what you're looking for. You trained your eyes to see what you're looking for, and then when it appears, all you need to do essentially is act on that, right? So you don't need to be right to make money. You just need to follow a statistical probable outcome, which comes from finding your edge. And your brain essentially is hardwired for survival. So you need to understand too that your brain through evolution has been programmed for short-term survival. Back when there were real threats like saber-toothed tigers, we needed to learn to control the environment around us. So that same primitive brain is within us when we take it to trading. We try to control the environment and create certainty where certainty just doesn't exist, right? So we need to learn to let go of control and become comfortable with uncertainty and embrace the discomfort. Because you'll never be certain in the market, right? No matter how good your edge or how good your strategy is, you won't know for sure if this particular trade is going to work. What you will be able to know is over a series of trades that your statistical probable outcome will work. And that's the difference, right? The difference between is this trade and a series of trades. So that's what you need to learn to focus on. You need to learn to let go of having to control the outcome of every single one of your trades, because it just doesn't work, right? So you will experience the fight or flight response when it comes to uncertainty, from the fear of loss, the fear of entry, the fear of missing out, revenge trading, or overtrading. So a brain that is built to produce certainty in an uncertain environment, even if it has to lie to itself to manifest fears to keep you from acting, will exactly do that, right? So your brain essentially is trying to protect you. So it thinks it knows what's in your best interest, but it really doesn't. So you need to become aware of your own triggers and your own emotional responses to how you handle certain things when things come up. And you need to be aware of that. And once you're aware of that, then you can begin to make change, right? So these are the different stages of trading that I personally have been through. That's why I came up with it. So I didn't want to create another psychology video. People always talk about revenge trading, fear of missing out, and, how to handle losses and how to handle like this and that. Like, none of that stuff actually works or helps. What actually works and helps is what I believe these different things that I'm going to show you. So these are my stages of trading, and I'm going to go through all of them with you guys. So the first one I call is, the what the WTF is this. So that's basically the first stage is, basically when you first get introduced to trading, there's just so much information and confusion. So you don't know basically what is what. And then you realize that, you don't have the slightest clue on how to even understand this new language. Everything kind of seems like, not to offend anyone, but seems like, foreign or Chinese to them. So the language is so foreign to you, but you are determined to learn it. So, you look to find a mentor or watch a bunch of YouTube videos to try to learn it. Maybe you go to Baby Pips, but that's essentially where everyone goes, right? Baby Pips, or they try to find a mentor or search YouTube to find the clue, how to understand this language, right? So that's the first stage. Then after that, they move into the know-it-all stage, right? Which is basically with a little bit of help. Now you paid someone some money. You got a mentor, so now you have some more information, and then you begin your more YouTube search. You progress into the know-it-all stage. You have to know everything there is to know about trading now, right? So you learn about retail trading. You learn about smart money concepts, candlestick patterns, supply and demand, stochastics, RSI, moving averages, Bollinger Bands, liquidity, ICT. You basically, you're determined to know everything there is to know about trading, right? And then you move to the next phase, which is the Holy Grail phase, where where a lot of people tend to stay. So now that you have all this information, right, you're determined to find a way to make it work, without failing is the key. That's basically what people are looking to do is, they're looking to find the Holy Grail, they're looking to find that one edge, that one secret that will get them to where they want to go, and they can just skip failing, right? They don't need, for some reason, losing doesn't apply to them, or failing doesn't apply to them, but everyone else it does apply to, right? So you believe in the 80 to 100% accuracy, win rate strategies, methods, or tactics. You try maybe some new fancy indicators and strategies, and as soon as you get a loss, you immediately decide, this is not it. So you continue the search, right? This can't be it. This thing said 80 to 100% accuracy, or this thing, and then all of a sudden, this one trade, you lost. So it's time to find something else, right? So you continue to try to find the Holy Grail. Surely there must be a way to never lose a trade, right? There has to be a way, like, there's got to be a way to never lose a trade. Then you enter at stage 4, which is the supposed missing link. That now we move to stage 4, where someone or somewhere you find Mark Douglas, and everyone tells you it's 90% psychology, right? So you say, that's it. Like, oh my God, like, this is your missing link. So you go and read every single book, watch every single video on trading psychology. You say, surely this is it. So you go back to the market only to continue losing. It's like, what the hell is going on? Now I got this psychology part, this must be it. And then you still continue to lose, right? So then you come to stage 5, which is the first signs of life, right? Now you start to question everything instead, right? Before you were consuming all this information, you were consuming, and then, wondering why this crap isn't working, right? Now you come to realize that, wait a second, there's early signs of what I call an independent thinker begin to emerge, right? You start wondering and thinking, wait a minute, is it really psychology? Or is it my trading methodology? Like what is it? Then you begin to realize you don't even have an edge to trade with. You just have a bunch of information gathered over time about trading, but you don't have anything concrete, right? You just have other people's ideas, other people's strategies, other people's methodologies, or whatever. You don't have your own, right? So then you move to stage 6, which is the independent thinker, and that's kind of where you want to be at, in this, depending on where you're at in your development. But you're an independent thinker, right? So now once you arrive here, you begin to realize you need to figure out your own process, right? So you begin with the basics and start over, but this time you are using a trial and error approach, right? So now you become more of a scientist, and you start coming up with these theories and ideas, well, what if this happens? What if I do this? What if this happened? So you start asking a whole lot of questions, right? So then you're aware that you need to find a consistent process, and it doesn't have to work every time, but enough to remain consistent and profitable in the long run, right? So you begin to realize that, wait a second, you don't really need to have a 100% win rate. All you need to do is basically have a 30% win rate with, a 1-to-5 ratio, or, a 50% win rate with a 1-to-2 ratio, So once you begin to realize that, then this game becomes all about probabilities, right? And it has nothing to do with one trade, but a series of trades over time. Will I be profitable? That's really the big question. That's what it comes down to, is over a series of trades, will I be profitable? That's what you want to know. And now you're determined to find your edge, right? Then you move to the next stage, which is the aha moment. You realize that certainty, confidence, and not having fear when trading comes from the understanding that this game is all about probabilities, right? So you realize that without a clearly defined edge, you can't be confident or certain. You need the data. You just need data. So you begin to backtest, step by step, different ideas on the strategies you've learned over time, or maybe that you come up with, until you find a pattern or a setup that, or a way that works for you, right? Then you begin to realize that the pattern works over a series of trades, not a trade-by-trade basis. You begin to see, in the data that if you follow this pattern over time, you will be profitable. So it may work, everything may look the same at, let's say trade A and trade B, they all look the same and everything looks good, but, one wins and one loses, and that's just part of the game. That's probability, right? So you figure out your risk parameters, the market conditions, the rules. You start to finally see what trading is all about, once you're going through this process of, trial and error. That's how you figure out all this stuff, right? Then you move to the next stage, which is basically freedom, right? You've figured out your clearly defined edge. You realize it occurs at a specific time of day, whether New York or London session. you realize that, you only have one job, and that's to show up each day and wait for your setup. If there's no setup, there's no trade. You're trading from clarity, confidence, and new understanding that you have no control over the market, but how you react and respond, right? You start taking trades that align with your process. You are no longer afraid. You know over time that you will be profitable. So losses and wins are just, normal, it's just part of the game. And that's where you want to arrive at, right? So this is basically, moving on to, what I wish I knew, what I guess a lot of people just don't talk about. But basically what I wish I knew if I first got started, that I would want someone to tell me as well, is that, you can't make things happen in trading. You just need to let things happen. And you have absolutely no control over anything except for risk and the mindset that you bring. You will feel like nothing is working and you're making no progress, but you are. It's just not visible yet to you. So it may feel like you're not getting anywhere, but that's just part of the process. That's normal. It's normal to feel like you're taking two steps forward and one step back. That's normal. You can't make money every single day trading, but you can show up every day and wait for your setups. A lot of people, come to the market with intentions, I'm going to make money today, but that's not how it works. What you need to do is show up and wait for your setup. No setup, no trade, right? So before you can get your mindset right, you need to get your edge right. That's what a lot of people don't really tell you, is that when you shift to becoming an independent thinker and you start trial and error backtesting to figure out your edge, you will automatically get your mindset right. You will see just how the game of probability really works. You will see the data and the statistical probable outcome, the risk parameters and everything else. And that's where it comes from. That's how you develop your mindset, is through really finding your edge. It's kind of like, a catch-22, right? So you can't remove your emotions or become a robot, nor do you have to. That just doesn't work. You don't need to do that stuff. You just need to get clear on your process. That's really all you have to do. The mind you use in the real world to make things happen and get things done is the opposite mind needed for the trading world, because you don't make things happen, you let things happen. Patience is earned, it's not given. So you realize in a world of probability that less is more. So you don't need to, always be looking to trade. You just need to wait for the right opportunities to present themselves, and that will come from your setups, and your strategy when you, forward and back test it. Focus on the process and learn from your mistakes. Don't worry about the money that will follow. You need to cut out distractions right away. Other strategies, methods, traders, etc. Don't follow anyone but yourself. What I mean by that is, once you start the independent thinker phase and you start, coming up with these ideas based on all the stuff that you've learned, you don't want to listen to anybody that isn't aligned with your way of thinking, right? So if you're trading, supply and demand, you do your own thinking, your own back testing, and then you find information that's relevant to that, right? And only that. You don't want to get sucked into, other methods and other strategies again, because that's only going to distract you, and you don't want to do that. So here's some psychology notes that, let me see, sorry. So here's some psychology notes for you guys. So when we take a loss, the brain is fighting for survival to return to equilibrium. It seeks control and certainty. So if you lose $500, this discomfort in the brain finds it hard to believe that we will get it back in the long run. So short-term survival, it's trying to get it back now and take control, right? So that's why our brains are so primitive. What we really are afraid of is the unknown. We don't really trust ourselves or have faith, that we can turn things around and make back what we lost. That's basically what people really are afraid of, is just don't trust themselves. We don't believe we can make back what we lost. We almost feel a need to have a guarantee or certainty that we will get it back, right? And then hesitation comes from our need to be right, perfect, or have control over our outcome. It's like I need a guarantee that, if I take this trade, I'll make money, otherwise I won't take it, rather than trust the process and probability. We trade patterns, the patterns repeat themselves, but the outcome to each individual pattern is random. That's how probability works, right? So you need to embrace discomfort and accept the feeling of being uneasy. Every single error you will make is thinking you know what's going to happen next. So you need to take responsibility for your trading. That's not really important. Now, these are some things I came up with, which is what I call hard truths, that I don't think anybody really is talking about. So Your success in trading has to do with only one single reason, and that's basically, it comes down to your ability to manage pain. The sooner you can accept responsibility for where you were at and what you were doing in the market, the sooner you can move forward. So every single decision you make will be to avoid pain. Whether you like to believe so or not, every single thing that you do is to avoid pain. I mean, it's just, whether you're aware to that or not, but it's something that I had to figure out and I had to learn for myself. So hopefully, this will kind of open your eyes to new ways of looking at things too. So it's more painful to lose a trade than to hold on to a losing trade, because you feel that things could turn around, right? Like, why do you hold on to a losing trade? Well, it's because it's more painful to lose than it is to hold on to it, right? And it's more painful to be wrong about a trade than it is to actually place it, because you're so focused on this one trade rather than a series of trades, right? Like, this trade has to win. Like, this trade, even though your statistical probable outcome edge tells you over a series of trades, in the long run, you will be profitable. But most people don't think like that, right? They think about this one particular trade, that it has to be right. And what are they doing? Your ability to manage pain, right? They're trying to avoid pain. Every decision you make will be to avoid pain. That's what you're doing. You're trying to avoid pain. So it's more painful to let things go than it is to revenge trade and get it all back now, right? So instead of letting things go, it's less painful to revenge trade and try to get it all back, right? It would be more painful to you to accept the loss and let it go than it is to say, okay, I got to get it back. I got to get it back now. Right? Again, right? Every single decision you make will be to avoid pain, right? So that's just what it is. So it's more painful to look at yourself and say, I'm the reason why I'm failing, than it is to blame the market, pair, capital, or any other reason, right? So you'd rather blame the market, the currency pair you're trading, capital, you have lack of capital, or, any other reason, than to admit that, you are the reason, you are the cause of your failure. It's a hard truth to swallow, right? So you need to become 100% completely honest with yourself if you want to change. You need to realize that you are the problem. You can't handle the pain of being wrong. Like, that's what it comes down to. That's literally what it comes down to. You just can't handle the pain of being wrong, right? And it makes sense, because in a world where we are taught to always be right? We're graded out of 100. We have high GPAs, test scores, making things happen. All that stuff goes against what trading is really about, right? Trading is really a game of probabilities. It's about knowing that if I have a statistical probable outcome based on my edge of XYZ, then I don't care if I win or lose, because I know my overall performance will be profitable in the long run, over the long term. So you have to develop, you must develop trust within yourself. You must develop trust within your process. You must develop trust within the market. Otherwise, you will never win this game in the long run. That's what it comes down to. You really need to trust yourself. You really need to trust your process, and you really need to trust that the market will present an opportunity to you if you're willing to wait, right? And then once you wake up and realize that this game is about, let me just make sure. Yeah, once you wake up and realize that this game is about probabilities, and that the same pattern may repeat, but it doesn't have the same outcome, it's random, you will be free of attachment, right? So if you flip a coin 100 times and the outcome is 50% heads, 50% tails, you can't predict exactly, what the next 10 flips will be, right? Because if I ask, okay, if I flip this coin, tell me exactly what the next 10 flips are going to be. There's no way you can guess, but there's no way you can actually know, right? But you can predict that over 100 flips, there is a 50% chance of heads and a 50% chance of tails. And the only way of determining that is by doing it, right? So you just have to trust the process. You have to trust that over, a series of 100 flips that you'll have a 50% outcome, right? So it's just like trading a pattern, setup, or strategy. You don't need to know if this specific trade will turn to be a winner or loser, right? You just need to take it and trust the process, because your edge tells you over a series of trades doing exactly XYZ with a 50% win ratio and a 1 to 3 risk parameter, you will be profitable. And that's what you need to trust. That's why you need to develop trust in yourself, trust in the process, and trust in the market, right? So what's missing? The hardest thing that you will do is not actually developing the right mindset, but it's developing your edge, right? You need to create your own edge with your own rules, guidelines for entries, exits, taking profits, setting stop losses to break even, etc. Once you find the edge that is unique to you through backtesting, forward testing, you will notice patterns in terms of entries and exits, and there will be a statistical outcome of a 1 to 2, 1 to 3, or 1 to 4, etc. ratio. You will see, all this information, and then you will figure out your SOP. And once you do, you will have the confidence, clarity, and trust to begin trading. That's where you need to start, right? So the final step is once you have your edge clearly defined, you will have automatically figured out that the game is all about managing risk and letting probabilities play out. You will see through backtesting, forward testing, how a same exact pattern, setup, strategy can all have the same exact look, smell, taste, touch, and feel, but different outcomes. Some will win and some will lose. That is the game we are playing, right? All you have to do is show up, wait for your setup, and let the rest take care of itself. Trading is all about waiting. You trade the New York session, you wait for your setup. If nothing, you come back tomorrow. It's as simple as that. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, just let me know. Otherwise, good luck in trading. Thanks.